I can't heal you.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you have to go to God for healing.
Yep.
And I think a lot of times, a lot of people look for outside sources to,
Mm-hmm.
help them heal. You
Yeah.
have to want to heal for yourself. Me making you feel like, oh yeah, I do forgive you. You still have to forgive yourself. And you got to, for one, before you even ask me for forgiveness, you need to ask. Welcome to the Heart Helper Podcast, a spiritual space where we share extraordinary stories from everyday, ordinary people, because we truly believe that inspiration is far greater than influence. Hi, guys. Welcome back to yet another episode of the Heart Helper Podcast. I am your host, Jody Smith. We are on episode 35. Can't believe we come this far, but thank you guys for always tuning in. Thank you for listening. And thank you for joining us. I call this a ministry on our Ministry of Light. So today we have a young lady. Her name is Jushawn Carter. When I see her last name, I just want to say, hey, Miss Carter. But I met this young lady at the Urban Media Film Festival, where we won the Best Mind, Body, and Soul podcast. Yay! And my parents always tell me I never met a stranger before. I never met a stranger. I always meet someone, start talking to them for a long time. So when me and Jushawn met, we started talking. She shared some of her story with me. And I'm like, oh, you have to come on the Heart Helper podcast, because I know she's going to inspire some people. You're going to cause some people to become healed. And I feel like you're going to make people feel seen and safe. So thank you for being here today. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. I'm phenomenal. Super excited to be here today.
Yes.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for being here.
I love it. I'm super excited.
Yes. Well, let's jump into it. I know we live in a society where everyone is based on their titles. Like, you meet someone, they're like, oh, well, what do you do? I'm like, well, Jesus, I'm a child of the Lord. Let's start there. First and foremost. But we are so title led. So I want to just deep dive into your truth. Okay. Who is Jushawn Carter? What is your truth?
All right. So Jushawn Carter, she is a 29-year-old mother of twins. She is a innovative entrepreneur, a creative, a free spirit.
Yes.
She is a sister,
Snaps fingers.
a mother, a friend, a nurturer, a provider, and learning to be loved and a lover.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Learning to be loved.
Mm-hmm.
That's loaded. That's really loaded. And I think I'm learning the same. A lot of times we're running and we want to give so much love, but we never take the time to, allow ourselves to be filled back up. So that's when you say learning to be loved, like, what does that look like for you? Like, how are you, especially if it seems like you're someone that really is always giving. Mm-hmm. How do you take that hat off and being a giver, always being a lover, always being a helper? How do you allow yourself to be loved? Asking for a friend. Friend is me.
I think the forefront of that, or this phase of my life, was forgiveness and truly understanding forgiveness. When you are a giver and you give and you give and you give, when you don't receive, sometimes you build up walls.
Yeah.
We are our own enemies. So I had to first learn, because I always say, I don't hold grudges. It's in the Bible. You don't hold grudges. I forgive, but don't forget.
That's me. I'll forgive, but I surely will forget it now. Okay?
I had to learn that sometimes in not forgetting, you are holding on.
Yeah.
So instead of saying that I don't forget, I just release.
Yeah.
Right. So I had to learn how to forgive and release. And in learning how to do that, I had to or gain the experience of being able to receive people or take people where they are.
Yeah.
Right. Learning how to deal with expectations of people helped as well. I had to learn that my love to you may not be the same way you give it back, but you're still giving it back.
Yeah.
So I have to accept you where you are and then digest it. How does that make me feel? Is it enough?
Yeah. Is it enough?
Mm-hmm. And then communicate when it's not. Right? Because sometimes that's all it takes. It just takes communication, because a lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of people don't know. You said a good thing. And that's something that I'm learning, because when someone would do something to me, I immediately would just ghost them and disappear, instead of saying, hey, when you did this, it made me feel like this. Or, hey, I think you're loving me to the best of your capability, but this is how I like to be loved. Because we all have different love languages. And I think that's something that I'm working on. And I'm glad that you said that. I just need to properly communicate my feelings.
Yeah.
And because people don't know, they're like, well, gosh, well, Jody, I didn't know that made you feel like that. You didn't even give me the opportunity to say sorry, because I'm one of those people. I forgive, but I'm not going to forget. Okay.
Yeah.
I will change my number and move. We will never speak again.
Right. We don't never
okay. I have people that been looking for me for years. Okay.
That was my attitude. Shout out to my father. He was like, yeah, no, ma'am.
Really?
Yeah, that was definitely my attitude. And it got to a point where it created a really big divide in my intermediate home with my sisters. And my dad was like,
because you weren't forgiving your family when you felt like you were
like,
wronged.
you're supposed to know better. My mom and dad raised us to be the same. You know better. So the fact that you're doing that, bye.
Yeah, that was me.
But then I had to remember, you are the influencer, you are the oldest, you have to leave. I used to tell mom, I don't want to be the oldest of anything anymore.
0 stars, would not recommend. I think my older sister probably feels like that. Shout out to Kim.
I don't want to set the tone. Stop looking at me. Like,
I don't want to be a role model.
Yeah.
I did not sign up for this. Okay.
Exactly. But I had to accept it. And it helped me learn who I am, who I want to be, right? As a woman, as I'm transitioning through the phases of life. Really just being able to tone in on what I see future me looking like, and then doing the work to be that
get
person.
there. Yeah. And I think too, we have to give people grace.
Yeah.
I noticed with myself, I just would not give people grace, because just like you said, oh, you should know better.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have to tell you that. That's common sense. But a lot of people just don't know.
We are phenomenal women. And it took a lot. It's our experiences, our upbringing, the village that we had, and then just our own acceptance of who we want to be.
Yeah.
Everybody doesn't have that
at all.
I think the biggest experience that I had to prove that was going to college. It was just like, I've always heard, everybody's not raised the same. I'm just like, yeah, duh. Everybody has different parents. I went to college and I was like, oh, everybody is not raised
listen.
Like,
thank God our parents didn't let us go to everyone's house. What? Thank God we learned everyone is not the same. Everyone's.
Oh, and I learned how judgmental I was.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know I was so judgmental. I didn't
What
know.
made you realize you were judgmental? When you went to college and you were looking at them other people kids, like, who raised you?
After college, actually. So I went to college and I'm just like, yeah, no, y'all mama didn't raise y'all. Mine did. I was like real, just like, no.
What college did you go to?
I went to Johnson & Wales University in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay.
Crazy where I am now. I actually went to school for culinary arts or
so
baking and pastry arts. I love cooking.
Oh, okay. Invite me over. I love to eat.
Yes, love cooking and eating.
Yes. Both. Me too. I love to cook too. There's something about it that's calming.
Yeah,
something about it so calming.
I think it's the creative in me.
Yeah,
it's like creating something. And I went to school for baking and pastry, but I actually prefer cooking than baking.
Okay.
Several reasons why. Mostly just because baking is so like on point. Like you have to read the recipe. Cooking,
that's why I don't bake.
Razzle dazzle.
Yeah, I don't bake. I cook. Yeah, baking. I'm like, let me get a box cake.
You do something wrong in baking.
Oh yeah, you can forget it.
Yeah, but cooking allows you to be a little more expressive. But yeah, I went to school in North Carolina.
So when you saw those kids, you're like, you felt judgmental.
Well, it was after. So I went to college. I experienced that. Came home, and had to do some reflecting, and I had to realize where I was wrong in a lot of situations, a lot of friendships, a lot of relationships that I lost. And I apologized to them. I had to go back and apologize. And then motherhood actually was
motherhood
the big,
will do it.
Big was the big kicker to show me my faults and how judgmental I was, because as I stepped into motherhood, that really opened up the window or the door of me searching for what kind of woman I wanted to be. Then I learned that, wow, I was exposed to this type of woman a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I looked down at her. I thought she was crazy, right? I thought that keeping love at the forefront was weird.
Yeah.
the way a lot of women I met in North Carolina dealt with men, I thought was weird.
When you say dealt with them, like, what do you mean? How did
they were very relationship driven, and I was very
like boy crazy.
Yeah, I'm just like,
yeah.
First time I touched down in college, my roommate was just like, yeah, I met this dude, and I'm just like,
girl, we had to learn, okay?
I wanted some money. I was like, I didn't.
Man, what is that?
I ain't got a business, baby.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out who wants some of these cakes and cupcakes.
Yeah, listen, I'm trying to become a millionaire quick.
Yeah,
okay?
That is how I was so me and independent and entrepreneurial driven that I didn't allow myself to really experience just living.
Yeah.
Or just being a preteen or a young adult at that time. And I was in the wrong. Well, I won't say necessarily just right from wrong, but I could have been more open-minded.
You could have had a different perspective. Right. But the beautiful thing is you learn.
Yeah.
You learn, especially if you could.
But I got it.
Yeah, no, all of us. I'm 37 and I'm still learning, you know? So I'm like, wow. Like, when God convicts me in spirit about something, I'm like, ooh, thank you, Father, for doing that.
Yeah.
Thank you for light. Yeah, thank you for bringing it to the light so I could rectify it.
Yep.
And I'm thankful for I'm like, God, I see what you did there. Okay.
Yep. My mom says this all the time. She's like, you just need to go pray, tell him to make it plain.
Yeah,
make it plain. So when things get confused, I'm just like, woo. Make it plain.
Make it plain. God, make it. And I love your mom, by the way. Her energy, her spirit. When I met you guys at that event at the festival, her mother has the same type of energy, just like warm, cozy, just a safe space.
Yeah,
a very safe space. So I know this is a sensitive topic, but when we did meet in person, you brought up your experience of being assaulted, and I definitely want you to touch on that because I know there's some other people, not just women, men as well, that will listen to this podcast. They might have been assaulted. They might not have ever told anyone. They might not feel seen. They might not feel heard. So I just want to give you this moment to talk about that experience, what happened, and how do you heal from such a traumatic experience.
Okay. I don't know what else to do besides kind of start from the beginning.
Okay, let's go, girl.
So we were talking before, and I was telling you about how my mom was one of those moms that super prepared me for college. So when I was a teenager in high school, I've experienced everything: tap, ballet, tennis,
piano, everything.
I did everything. My mom was one of those people where she just wanted me to experience so that I could find what I liked.
Yeah.
So when it got into high school and pre-college, or getting ready for college, all the social programs that she could possibly put me in, all the girl groups, everything she could put me in, she put me in.
Yeah.
And she also told me a lot about her experiences and what she went through. And my mom was actually assaulted as well. So her putting me on game about all that information for her was her preparing me.
Yeah.
And that's why I said I was a little over prepared, because I feel alternatively it gave me a arrogance, right?
So you felt untouchable.
Yeah, I felt like because my mom told me about how she dealt with her group of boys that she hung around. I was like, I can do that too. And I was a tomboy. Like, I am my daddy's child. Like, all I wanted to do was
Are you your dad's first child?
Yes.
Okay. They always say a man's first child, if it's a girl, that's his first boy, quote unquote.
Yeah, most definitely, because that's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to be at football practice with my dad. With that being said, my dad was a coach a majority of my life. So we were around a lot of boys, right? And that was his way of kind of preparing us how to be around boys, right? And a lot of them were family, so I got best of both worlds. I got to see kind of like the mindset of strangers and then the mindset of my cousins, good and bad. That in combination with my mom telling me her story sent me off to college with a sense of being untouchable.
Yeah, because you're like, I know it. I know what to look out for.
So the first thing I did when I actually got to college was look for that cluster, that male group.
Really?
To surround myself with. That was my safety. That was my security.
That's what you knew.
Yeah, that's what I was used to. And that also allowed me to be a little bit irresponsible, right? Because it's just like, they're going to take care of me. They're going to make sure I get home.
Because you're used to that from your upbringing.
Right. But that put me in a very vulnerable state. And sometimes people may have the best intentions for you, but when you mix drugs and alcohol.
Not a good combination.
It is not a great combination.
Yeah.
So actually on my 21st birthday, I believe it was, 21st, sophomore year, we celebrated my birthday making sure I had the dates and stuff right. But my sophomore year, we celebrated in my dorm, or we had apartments at the time. Mm-hmm. And I was with the bros, and we were just drinking, we were chilling.
Are you the only girl in this group of boys at this time?
Not the only girl, but other females that are around were dating someone.
Got it. Okay.
I was the only friend.
Okay.
Exclusive friend of that group at the time.
Okay.
So we were all just chilling, drinking, having a good time, and that's what it was going to be. We decided not to go out. Just chill. Something we've done several times, several occasions. We used to go out to the grocery store, get a bunch of food, cook. We had gourmet meals.
College was a time.
Yes.
Okay.
And we'll just chill. So that's what we were doing. And I had a friend, one of the guys, asked to invite his friend. Me and it's like, a friend of your friend, I don't care. Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah. This person came over and joined in the festivities. Discussion started, and we actually had a conversation about why I was a virgin at the time. What was my expectation, what I was looking forward to. And I had shared that it wasn't like I'm not having sex unless I'm married, but that was what I wanted.
Yeah. That was the goal.
I didn't see a reason why not to do that.
Yeah.
I was a hopeless romantic, like watching the fairy tale movies. And
girl, I still am.
Hopeful
romantic. Okay?
I'm back there. I'm back there.
I'm a hopeful.
I threw it in the trash for a minute, but we're back.
But God will provide, and you'll get what you want. I believe it.
So we shared that information. I had this conversation with them. They were guys that were out at a young age, doing stuff at a young age. Yeah. And it was like, that's not my life.
So they were outside. They jumped off the porch pretty early. Okay.
Yeah, most definitely. As drinks kept going, one of the individual that was invited, the friend of a friend, I just remember us sitting down on the sofa, talking. Mm-hmm. Great conversation, just about life, nothing sexual or anything. Mm-hmm. And then I was asked to go into my room. And I said no. I remember saying no. I was like, I don't have there's no reason for
yeah, why are we going in our room?
And then I remember him telling me, I just can't hear you, right? So in that moment, I was like, it isn't sexual, right? That was me dropping my guard. I just want to talk somewhere cool. And again, the conversation hadn't been sexual that whole time. And this is where it gets blurry. I do know that I went in my room. I cannot tell you what happened after that. I know that I walked in my room. I don't know how my door got closed. I don't know how the door got locked. And the only reason why I actually know that I lost or my virginity was taken from me that night is because of how I woke up. My best friend told me that she was beating on the door, trying to get me out. Again, my virginity was no secret. Like, I was that female on campus that was sought after. Yeah. It was very clear, nah.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not, I know what you're looking for. Yeah. You're not going to get it from me.
I had several conversations with my girlfriends, just like, hey, birds of a feather don't flock together. So whatever you're doing, don't let it get to me. I love that
you were mindful of that. Yeah. Because, especially a lot of young women were not, we're raised to be wives. We're raised to be homemade. I'm glad that you had that sense of.
Yeah, it wasn't my focus at all.
Yeah, and I love that.
It wasn't at all. But I think that put a target on my back too.
Yeah.
I guess boys, men like a chase. Yeah. And that's what I believe I became.
And they want what they can't have. Especially they want something special that no one else has had.
So yeah, my best friend told me following day that she was beating on my door trying to get me out of the room, and my friend, the one that invited the gentleman over, he stopped her and said she has to lose it one day.
Wow.
So he made that decision for me, and of course it destroyed our relationship,
as it should.
But
Lord forgive me. I'm like, is that the right thing to say? But if you know that you have a friend and there's something so sacred to them, you protect your friend. You put a bubble over your friend.
Especially when we just had the conversation. Yeah. Probably not more than 10, 15 minutes ago.
Did he come there with that intention?
I don't know. I have not had the space or opportunity. We had one conversation
after the incident happened.
A year after the incident happened. At this point, I went after the situation happened. My response to it was initial embarrassment. But I didn't portray that. So I walked out of the door, just like, oh, everything's cool. Don't talk about it. Let's keep moving. What are we doing today? Right. And
you didn't remember anything that had occurred.
I didn't know what to talk about. I didn't want to ask. I walked out of that door and said, all right, y'all, what are we doing today?
Yeah. And like nothing had happened, but you were thinking about it.
Yeah. It was definitely on my mind. I was broken. I was hurt inside. Yeah. I didn't know what my next step was going to be but my norm. Yeah. So it was just, we had a routine where we'd get up, go find something to eat, go to different areas on campus. And I was just like, please just keep the daily routines going, because I don't want to think about it. Yeah. Right. And unfortunately everybody did that. Once they saw me react that way,
no one thought nothing of it.
No, it's like, she's not talking about it, don't talk about it, just.
And maybe I wonder if they thought that maybe you wanted to lose your virginity.
I think that nobody was prepared to deal with what could happen if it was negative. Like, yeah, with them being in the unknown, I feel like their response was just like, I don't want to ask, because what am I going to do when she tells me that he did, that this is what happened? Yeah. And I gained that understanding later in life, because it finally got to a point where I kind of exploded on all the boys, just like, you guys let this happen to me, or you guys knew this happened to me and you didn't do anything about it. And they're just like, you didn't do nothing about it,
because they didn't know. How long after that did you kind of have that outburst where like, I can't contain this anymore?
A year some change. So after that situation, I didn't address it. I did lose all self-worth. My mind went to, I am useless, I am not valuable anymore. Like, so I actually went out and I just started having sex. Just like, I was like, I'm a hoe, so I just might as well be one.
Oh my goodness, my God.
Yeah, it was traumatic. My God. And then I also had a really strong relationship with my mom at the time, so I started self-sabotaging. Because
we got some tissue.
Sorry, I told myself I wasn't gonna cry.
No, girl, cry it out, because that's deep.
Yeah. So
and you're not the only one that has gone through something like this, and there exactly how you feel is how some other women have felt. Yeah. Not just women, men as well have felt. Yeah. So when that did, like so after that, it kind of was a trickle effect of you.
Yeah. So self-sabotaging started having extra relationships outside of, and I didn't have like birds and bees, I guess they call it, conversations necessarily. So I didn't really learn about my body. I had to, this is me learning about my body. Men telling me,
there's some tissue for you.
Thank you so very much. Yeah. Men telling me about myself and what they liked and what to do. That was me learning my womanhood. Yeah. And I didn't get to talk to my mom about it because, I didn't want to tell her what happened. And then I didn't want to tell my dad what happened either. So I started picking fights and doing stuff. I started selling drugs and stuff on campus. Like, really? I just wanted to. Is it because
you wanted to stay away?
Yeah, I wanted to stay to be this. Like, I wanted no one to want to talk to me, and because I stopped going home because I knew if I went home, my mom asked me, who you're dating. My aunt would ask me faithfully every time she saw me. So you got a boyfriend? I didn't want to be asked that question.
Yeah, and they would know something was up with you.
Yeah. Yeah, they would definitely have known. So I did a lot to keep away from communicating with my parents. And then so time went by, went through life, other situations happened. What was the kicker to make things start coming out? The gentleman that did it didn't go away.
He kept coming around?
Yeah, because he was friends with everybody, and I didn't know that he had a girlfriend at the time. So I think, I don't know still, but I think he went and told his girlfriend that whatever story he told her, so that put a target on my back between the girls of the group that were dating my friends. I was looked at as the home wrecker and the whore and all that stuff. So they would do little daggers and stuff at me,
making it seem like you were sleeping with someone that had a girlfriend.
Like
when
I knew what was going
he
on.
knew what he
did.
Did he ever acknowledge what he did or apologize?
So after a couple years, I actually ended up having he got in a really bad accident throughout this time. That was similar to my brother's. My brother graduated high school, was graduating, and right before graduating, he was playing basketball, came down wrong, had a brain injury. Went through that, couldn't speak. That whole thing with him, with family, came back to school, and he got in a car accident and had similar injuries. I don't think people understand soul ties are real.
Yeah.
That exchange of energy was real. So even though I knew what happened to me, I never rectified it or talked about it or took the time to understand it until I went to therapy. And literally I had to sit there and she said, repeat after me. You were sexually assaulted. I had to say that, like sessions of the sessions to actually accept it.
Yeah. And to bring it to the surface, because a lot of times we bury things because we don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
And then it's never healed. We're putting a Band-Aid over a bullet wound.
And I also didn't villainize him. So I spent a lot of that time treating him as he was the victim. Right? Just like, you know, your girlfriend is mad. And I'm just like, okay, how do I get her to not be mad? Like, it wasn't with her not even knowing what was going on, him going through different things. Okay, like, how do I help you? I don't even understand it.
So though you were the victim, there was a part of you that wanted to help him. Yeah,
that was still helping him through the stuff that he was going through in life. And then when he had that surgery, I thought that was the Most High telling me to forgive him. And maybe it was, I don't know. So I did. That was where I was just like, oh my gosh, I know what this is like. I just watched my brother, and he didn't have anybody. I think him and his girlfriend had broke up at the time. I'm not too sure. So I was there for him in the hospital. He came to live in my house for a while.
What?
Like, I don't know. I was crazy.
That had to be the grace of God. What prompted your spirit to welcome this man that had violated you in that way?
Everybody was walking away from him. Everybody. So even the boys, for several different reasons, watching him have a girlfriend and continue to do this to other women. Yeah. And apparently I wasn't the only one.
Yeah. He was battling something.
Apparently I wasn't the only person
that
he had did that. Him and the friend had been doing that too on campus. So I guess kind of the boys started picking up, and they're just like, I don't want to be associated with this type of person. So people started kind of walking out of his life, and then he had that huge incident, and I'm just like,
he has no one now.
Someone got to be there for him. I just watched my brother go through this. Like, no one should be alone, and that's what made me go to him for that. Something ended up happening with me on campus. My apartment was broken into, so of course I went to my brother's. I went to my safe place, and he was living with them at the time. And he didn't want me there. I guess he had mended his relationship with his girlfriend, and she didn't want me there. So he told them that I couldn't stay there. At this time, we didn't feel safe in our home. We just walked in on someone robbing us, and then they got away. What did they come back? Yeah. Right? That was our whole thing. And he was just like, you can't stay here. And that broke me down. And then that kind of led through the trickle of events of me like exploding. Yeah. So I went to stay with a friend, kind of locked myself in a room. They didn't really understand what was going on. They knew my personality, and they were just like, she's off. At this time, I had been going to therapy, and I had been taking medication.
In college, you were going to therapy. Okay.
I had been going to therapy. I had put me on antidepressants, and my attitude and personality was different. One night, I wrote a 2-page letter to my father, apologizing and just kind of like telling him what happened.
Were you apologizing for what had happened
to me? Yeah. So I don't know. I felt like that was a big part of why I didn't want to speak on it, because I felt like I let my dad down, like I was supposed to know better.
Yeah.
So I wrote him a letter explaining what was going on, and then it was like he had some wine bottles and bottles of tequila, so I just drunk them. And then there was a bottle of Tylenols, and I just took the whole bottle. I just kept taking them and kept taking them and kept taking them. And mentally, I was like, whatever happens.
Yeah. Right?
And I just felt myself kind of like becoming numb and then sinking into that. and then this wanted to be even more numb.
Yeah, because you didn't want to feel what you were going through.
What I was going through at the time. So I was in the bathroom for like a day, actually, which is so weird.
In the bathroom doing what?
I was passed out on the floor.
Oh my goodness.
I had passed out in my own vomit.
Because you were drinking and you were taking pills. At that time, did you want to kill yourself, or were you just trying to numb?
I think I was just numbing,
and that wasn't your intention.
I don't mentally remember having the thought like, oh yeah, I just want to end it all.
Yeah,
but I was in a space where I was just like, I don't want to go through this anymore. Yeah. I don't want to address it. I don't want to talk to anybody about it. I just want it to be over.
Yeah.
So I just kept going and kept going. I ended up vomiting, and I was there passed out for about, it was over from night to night, evening. And I remember my roommate at the time, his girlfriend found me in the bathroom. They finally, the space that I had shared some of their child's like body washes and stuff, and she needed something out of there. She came in and she found me, and then they was like, we heard you in there kind of like vomiting or something, but we didn't know if you was like had a friend in there or something. I was like, y'all are crazy.
I was in there by myself trying to numb my pain, and you guys could have checked on me.
So that next night, they was just like, she actually was like, yeah, I have watched you do this, and I'm not standing for it anymore. You need to call your parents, or I'm going to call the hospital, and they're going to keep you for suicide watch. Yeah. And I'm going to make sure they keep you. So she kind of gave me that ultimatum, and I called my sister. The second oldest, I called her, which was weird because we never had like the best relationship. Not necessarily our fault, but we had two different moms, two different upbringings, and we just grew up in two different spaces. Yeah. But we will always find ourselves like trying.
That's your sister.
Yeah,
you know?
trying.
There's always love there. Always.
Yes. So I called her and I just told her everything that happened, and I told her I don't want to talk to my dad. Yeah. At the time, I wasn't talking to my mom. At all. So the next call I made was to a mutual friend's father. He we attended the same camp, a congregation, and then he had branched off and started his own. And he was the one male in my culture, because me and my dad share different cultures or different if you have to call it religion. I don't like using that word, but we share different beliefs.
What's your dad's belief?
Baptist Christian.
Okay.
I believe Christian. And
what are your
then
beliefs?
I'm a Hebrew Israelite.
Got it. Okay.
So that was the next male that I trusted to speak with, and also he was the elder of the camp, and I needed prayer. That's all I wanted to do.
Over the church.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you brought this up, because during the time that you were experiencing the assault, and then just going through all the different changes in drinking, and I know you mentioned selling drugs and things like that, what was your relationship like with God? Were you praying at the time, or were you kind of like, you know what, the devil put this title on me, I'm gonna run with it? Because that's what the enemy tries to do. The enemy tries to give us this title, like, I'm gonna make you think you're not worthy, I'm gonna make you not value yourself, I'm gonna make you think you're a hoe, or I'm gonna make you think you're an adulterer, and we're like, I am those things. So the enemy tries to give you this title. Were you praying to God during this time, or what was your relationship like with God at the time?
My relationship was there, but I definitely was battling that you're looking down on me. I'm not your child. Like, I have disgraced myself.
You don't even want to talk to me.
Yeah, I was going through that. Still tried to lead my day with prayer, asking to come out of what I was in. And because at the time I couldn't realize, like, you can't ask for your immediate results, right? But because I felt like I wasn't getting a response or getting an answer or getting help in the situation, I felt like I was cast away, right? I didn't believe that I belonged to the devil, but I felt like I was in this, I guess, middle way, right? And I was just searching, right? And unfortunately, the things that were coming were the drugs and the alcohol, and that was the influence. We were also in a lot of nightlife at the time, because the group of boys, they actually were promoters, and they had events and they threw the parties and stuff. So that was what I was surrounded around a lot.
So your environment wasn't conducive
Yeah.
to really even building a relationship with God. It's like you have the enemy telling you this is your title, but then it's like God's like, this is the truth. Like,
Yeah.
I forgive you. I love you. I
Yeah.
am, and I think sometimes we constantly have to remind ourselves, like, you're not the title that the enemy gives you. And it's hard, every day it's like, God, I know you saw what I did. Do you forgive me?
Did you
It's,
turn your hand? Did you turn your hand?
yeah,
Did you turn your hand?
yeah.
And I still battle that today.
Oh,
like, I'm just praying, like,
absolutely.
please don't take your hand off from around me.
Please don't take the hedge of protection.
Yes.
I still pray for forgiveness for things that happened years ago. And
Yeah.
God's like, I have already forgiven you.
Yeah.
You keep asking for forgiveness for something that I've forgotten. God, see, it's us that doesn't forget.
Yeah.
And thank God that we serve a God that does forget and does forgive and doesn't hold grudges.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes, ma'am.
So when you called the one other male in your life that was over the church that you felt comfortable with, did you tell him what was going on?
Yes, I did. I did tell him what was going on, and I just asked him to pray with me. That is something that wasn't abnormal. Calling him that was completely out of the blue. So I was blessed that he answered.
Yeah.
Usually I would call one of my aunts or my grandmother and just say, please pray, sing. That got me through a lot of ups and downs in life, hearing my aunt sing. On my dad's side of the family, we had different churches all over Georgia. My grandfather being a preacher or pastor, minister, down to my aunt, and my grandmother being the first lady of the church. We grew up in church, right? So whenever I did have those moments, I would just call one of them and say, please sing. I just need to hear it.
You remember to go home though.
Yeah.
You remember? That's beautiful.
And he was my home at that time. I don't think that again, I didn't share what was going on with my family.
Yeah. But when I say home, I mean God. Like, you knew, like, oh, I need someone to pray for me.
Oh, yes.
I need someone to put their hands on me. Like, like you had that foundation,
Yes, ma'am. So yeah, I called him, he prayed with me, and then he helped me get that courage that I needed to talk to my father. And then that was my next phone call. He had been calling me after he talked to my sister, but I wasn't ready to answer.
So you were ignoring him.
Yeah. So once I got off the phone with him, I answered my father, and the first thing I said was, I'm sorry. I was just, what are you sorry for? But yeah, I felt like I had put myself through so much that could have been avoided if I would have spoke.
Yeah.
And then also I just felt like I didn't listen. I didn't take heed to the things that they taught me, right? Like, I felt like I should have known better.
Yeah, because they had already told you before you went to college.
Yeah. I was prepped, I was given the game. You're supposed to know this, and I fell short. So that's the state that I was in at that time, just apologetic for what had happened to me.
Yeah.
And I think also looking back at that, I think those words were coming out because I was trying to forgive myself. I was trying to tell myself, like, I'm sorry.
Yeah. For putting yourself in that situation.
Right. And I think that it was only coming out when talking to other people.
Yeah.
So to fast forward, my dad ended up contacting my mom. Again, me and my mom wasn't speaking. So my stepdad ended up calling me, and he was like, I'm coming to get you. And he came and got me. My mom was with him, of course, but they came and got me. They asked me what did I want to do, and I just was like, I don't want to do anything. Like, I just want to go.
You wanted to go home.
I just wanted to go home. And we had to get my stuff. So I went home for a while. We had to come back to Charlotte to get all my belongings. And that's when I returned to their house. And that is when I had a conversation with them. It wasn't intentional. It was just like I was staying outside or whatever. I didn't want to come in the house. And then it was like, okay, she's here. We should go talk to her. And the reason, and I think that why that even happened was not the person who did the assault, but the friend. He had also attempted to have sex with me, I guess you call it, before we were all there a couple months ahead of this.
A couple months before, like, the actual assault, he tried to have relations.
I'm sorry. So before my mom, they came to get me.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
All of this had happened in the midst of that happening. So after this, the alcohol and the pills and stuff, I was there and we were just drinking, chilling, another night just chilling. And he was like, "Hey, Juju, you're drunk. Don't go home. Go sleep in my room."
Mm-hmm.
Now, I was used to spending the night, so that wasn't out of
that
the
was
ordinary.
Your homeboy.
But not in his room. I would sleep with one of my best friends. I would sleep in his room because he would let me sleep on the bed, or he'll go somewhere, be on the sofa. That was my safe space. So whenever I was there, that's whose room I was in. So for him to ask me or tell me to go in his room alerted everybody in the room. They was like, "What's going on?" And then he started texting me, and he was just like, come in the room. Just like, and then we're watching a movie. Just nature of the situation, it alerted everyone in the room. Just like, I'm on my phone and I'm like, there's like something's not
going on,
right.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't find my keys and my glasses, and we're just like, okay, where's my belongings?
Yeah.
Right. So everyone's trying to help me find it.
It was in his room.
We find my keys, but we didn't find my glasses, and my glasses were in his room. So as we're searching around, I of course make my way back there because I'm like, "Hey, have you seen my glasses?" Yada yada. He closes the door and he's like pushing himself on me, and I'm like, "Dude, are you drunk?" Like, "Hey, it's me." And I think he thought I was drunker than I was, or more drunk than I was, and I'm like trying to snap him out of it. I'm just like, and also crying. I'm like hurting this moment, like, "Bro, it's me. Do you stop? Do you see what it's me? Stop." And I'm just like, okay, I have to use the bathroom. That was the quickest way I can find some safety. Although the bathroom was inside of his room, I just went in there and closed the door. I'm just like, how am I going to get out of this? I didn't have my phone. I'm just like, he is tripping.
Other people are in the house at the time.
I'm just like, this can't be real. Like, he has to be like drunk. Like, he can't be doing this.
This is my
to me.
friend.
Right. And this is during this time I had not rectified the situation of before with the assault, but I'm just like, bro, I've allowed you back in my graces. Like, I'm trying my best not to hate you.
Yeah.
Right. And then you do this. And then he comes in the bathroom and it's like, dude, I just need to go home. He's like, no, you're drunk. I'm like, bro, I'm not drunk. Like, just let me go home. Yeah. And he's just like, all right, if you do this, I'll let you go.
And what was the do this?
He's like, if you go lay down or if you get into bed with me or something. I don't 100% recall, but it was something that made me go,
then I'll let you go.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, no. And I'll leave without my glasses.
Yeah.
So that night I drove home without my glasses. Horrible experience. I am very much so blind.
But you made it.
I was like, I gotta get home. Y'all. Yeah, I made it. And after that situation, I like really wasn't dealing with him and his girlfriend, along with the person who assaulted me, girlfriend. That it was more ammo for her to hate me because it's just
they're thinking that you're coming on to these men.
Well, she didn't know what happened. She noticed me drift away from him. And we were very close. So she's just like,
what happened?
You're doing for the rest of the team. Like, I'm that person. Like, I don't celebrate holidays. So birthdays, I'm going all out. Like, I'm buying stuff, surprising you, having fun. And I was doing this for all the rest of our friends. But when it came to him, I get him something, not to be awkward. But it was very just like, And
you've already put me in a situation where you
made a decision for me.
Yeah.
Then you tried to come on to me. And then told me that I couldn't leave. Like, you tried to trap me thinking I was drunk enough to go for that. Like, it was no.
Yeah.
But fast forward back to that night where we actually had conversations. I think him and his girlfriend got into an argument which caused them to speak on some things. And he told her. And she came outside and she was just like, why didn't you tell me? Why you didn't tell me? And I was confused at first because I haven't been around them in so long. And she's like crying. She's like, I could have helped you. And I'm just like,
with the night where his friend assaulted you? Is that
no, with the night that her boyfriend tried to trap me in the glasses. Sorry, I know it's a lot all over the place.
I just want to make sure. So he told her what he tried to do.
Yeah, because I think she got to a point where just like, maybe she was bad mouthing me, and he was just like, yo, it's not her fault. Like,
it was me.
I did this because her whole persona and her how she felt about me, she was just like, you're neglecting my boyfriend. Like, I don't understand it.
And she was thinking it was you.
She thought I was just not a great person, I guess. So she was just like, why didn't you tell me? Like, that's not okay. I could have did something, da 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 da. And I'm just like, okay. You're his girlfriend though. You were already targeting me because of this situation that you knew nothing about.
Yeah.
Like, you
didn't
weren't
even
a safe
know.
place for me to come talk to you about this. I didn't know how you were going to take it. You guys are already beating up on me, and you don't even know
what has happened.
Yeah. So that happened, and then the person that assaulted me came out, and he had a conversation with me, and he apologized.
Wow, he finally apologized.
And it was more so just like, I'm not admitting
to what I did,
but I know that it's been a hell of a roller coaster for you, and I know that I have something to do with it.
Yeah.
So he was just like, I know you've been through a lot. I know it's a lot going on. I just want to apologize for my part in it. It was very broad, but
it wasn't a real apology.
It wasn't a real apology.
He really didn't acknowledge what he did.
He didn't acknowledge it. But he did come outside and apologize, and I think I had to allow that to be enough. I had to allow that to be enough. I had to understand that this is all you are even capable of
that's
giving.
all I'm gonna get.
Like, you're not held accountable for anything from your parents to your friends. So you don't,
and you're not even holding yourself accountable.
Right. So it's
I love that you said you had to allow that to be enough, because I think a lot of times we're in situations where we're constantly looking for closure. Like, no, I have to call. I got to reach out. I need closure. Sometimes you got to give yourself closure, and I think you're never gonna get it.
That was a lot of why I went through that back and forth of not villainizing him and just treating him like the victim, because I was searching for closure. I was just like, this happened and we never got to talk about it. Like, I lost my virginity. I didn't get to talk to anybody about it.
Yeah.
And it was with you, and you're still around. Like, what did I do? How? Like, I don't even know what the experience was like.
So I don't even remember such a sacred moment in my life, because you took that from me.
Because you took that from me, and it's just like, do you? Like, but how do I have that conversation with you?
Yeah.
We never did. Still to this day, never have.
So you had to give yourself closure.
I had to let that be enough. And then
that is a key takeaway. Let it be enough.
Yeah.
Let it be enough. You're probably never going to get apology. Your mom's never going to say sorry. Your dad, the person that assaulted you, whoever hurt you, your kid's father, your child's mother, you will probably never get a sorry, but you're going to have to let that be enough.
Yeah, you can't hold your expectations over people.
That's powerful.
You can't.
You'll never get a sorry for some things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then of course, he came out, and the friend, he said his apologies. Then my friend came out, and he was combative. So I couldn't deal with him in that moment.
Yeah.
He was just like very, very defensive. Just like, yeah, I know, but I wasn't really I was drunk. Like, it wasn't that deep. He was trying to play it off still. So I'm just like, oh yeah, I definitely don't even need to talk to you.
If you can't acknowledge it,
you can't even.
That's where giving yourself closure.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope wherever these young men are now, I don't know if they have daughters, I don't know if they're married.
He does.
But I hope that he, asks the Lord for forgiveness.
I pray that he in some way outside of, there was once upon a time where so the whole group kind of dismayed a little bit, and then regrouped a little bit, or he came back into our picture. Like, we were still friends, but those two gentlemen, it was just like, we don't like how y'all move. So distance was
have to heal.
Distance was put there. And then again, in that whole moment of me leaving, my mom coming to get me and that stuff happening, I sent messages out to each and every one of them individually based off the relationship I had with them. Like, one of them, why didn't you speak up for me? Why didn't you do something about this? The other, you were right here by my side. Why didn't you stop it? Different conversations I had with each of them. I sent out those messages and then got the responses back from them. And that was a lot. I think that's a key point that you brought up. They had to heal.
They had to heal.
Men. Yeah. And being friends with someone that they knew that they weren't raised to be like, but they allowed to be around them, to affect them, to influence them. They had to heal from a lot of the decisions they made with that individual too, as homies, as bros.
Yeah. Because you saw what this person was doing.
Yeah.
And you have to live with the fact that you never said anything.
And all the
you could have
girls,
helped
the
all
females.
the girls. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
wow.
One of them left before my situation happened. My closest friend, he left. And I'm just like, you left me. You left me to go through this. You left me with this crazy person. Why did you leave me? He was like, I had to go. Right? Like,
because he knew he was around toxic energy.
And I couldn't blame him for that. Like, I couldn't. So, that happened, and we did have, so later on in life, my friends, they tried to rekindle, and one of my good friends came to me, was just like, hey, how do you feel if I start back working with this person? And my thing was, I'm not going to stop your money.
Yeah.
You know,
but is that person still the same? Because all money is not good money.
Yeah. I just told him, be careful. Like, I can't tell you how to move and what to do, but you know what kind of person you are. You know the trouble that you've been in. You know what you just got out of.
Yeah.
You make that decision. I'm in Atlanta now, and they're still in Charlotte. I'm just like, I can't tell you yes or no. I can't be that.
You're going to have to go to God with that. But if that person still has that type of character, that's definitely not someone that you would want to be around.
Yeah. So they did end up working together. And when he reached out to me, he also let me know, he was like, hey, and he wants to talk to you. Like, for what? Oh, no. He ain't got nothing to say to me.
So you never talked to him?
He was like, he wants to talk to you, and his whole thing was, he was like, he just wanted to make sure, because I would still visit Charlotte, like that's where I went to college. So once I got better and healed, I would still go out there and visit. Again, they threw parties. I would go out and support their events, and we would bump into each other. And every time we did, he was like temperature checking. He was like, hey, he'll talk to me and just try to send him, just like, bro, don't talk to me. Right. Like I can be in the same room with you, but don't even.
We could be cordial, but we'll never be cool.
Right.
Again.
So he was trying to test the water. So he was like, hey, we're gonna work together. I know, she still comes to support your events. They're gonna be my events too. I don't want that. I don't want to mess up y'all's friendship. Yeah. Can I talk to her? And I was like, he don't need to talk to me. And I was just like, he's gonna have to. I'm not gonna help him clear his conscience.
That's something that that's something that you're going to have to go to
God for. I had to come and forgive you on my own without you deserving it, because you couldn't apologize. Yeah. You're right. You couldn't humble yourself enough to take accountability for you making a decision for me, for you ruining our relationship and our friendship. Yeah. Trying to take advantage of me. You couldn't take accountability for that and just simply apologize. Yeah. So I'm not going to give you that years later. Now that you have a daughter, so you can feel better. Yeah, about now that yourself. You have a daughter, and now that you want your friends back, and you know, now that it's coming to the light and you're thinking about it,
I can't heal you. Yeah. At the end of the day, you have to go to God for healing. Yep. And I think a lot of times, a lot of people look for outside sources to, help them heal. You have to want to heal for yourself. Me making you feel like, oh yeah, I do forgive you. You still have to forgive yourself. And you got to, for one, before you even ask me for forgiveness, you need to ask God for forgiveness.
Right. So, that was my response. So just like, we don't need to talk. I
wish him well. Yeah.
I've already forgiven him. I've moved on. What I need to talk to him for? Yeah. He's gonna have to clear his conscience on his own. Yeah. And that was just that. And that's pretty much just where we are with that situation. I haven't.
And thank you for even sharing that, because that is whoa.
It was a lot.
It's beautiful to see you in the space that you're in now after going through so much stuff like that. Like a lot of times, the enemy wants you to go through all those things because he wants to change the trajectory of your truth that God has already set for you. Like I always say, you're born a seed. You might be a rose, I might be a calla lily, whatever it is, but whatever you're meant to be is already in you. So the enemy wanted to stop you from blossoming.
But see, I also, or what helped me heal from this. So thank you for giving me the space to speak on it, because absolutely. It took a minute for me to actually even be able to talk about it. But for me, what helped me heal from that was not giving the enemy the power. That wasn't you. That wasn't. Come on. You threw some razzle dazzle in there. Yeah. You made the situation worse than it, was. But I went through that for a greater purpose.
Come on now.
My Lord and Savior. He put that path in front of me because he needed me to be strong enough to go through whatever's to come.
Yeah. He wanted to develop you. Yeah. That's why it always says in the word, count it all joy, because you're building character, you're building perseverance. But I know in Job, the Lord was saying the enemy can't even do nothing to you unless I allow it. Exactly. So the enemy doesn't have power, but the enemy's hoping like, I'm gonna just shake her off track. I hope she stay off track.
Yep. His goal is to take your faith. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So that he threw some razzle dazzle in there and kept me from communicating with the Most High a few times. But at the end of the day,
you got back up like a boss.
I'm just like, oh, I went through this so that I can start a nonprofit, so that I can help others. Oh, I went through this because I have 7 siblings that are about to go experience this same atmosphere.
Yeah.
And now I can help them. I went through this because all of the friends that sat around me that didn't speak up now can speak up.
Yes.
Right?
And you went through that to be on the Heart Helper podcast.
Yes.
So for someone listening that might be experiencing something similar, so they might not be as strong as you are right now, but they could be like, you know what? I saw Jushawn on the podcast and I can do it. I can become, I can heal. I'm not all those things. That's why. Yep. And that's why I always respect anyone that could be vulnerable enough to share their story. Because a lot of times we go through so many things, and there's so much shame that we associate with these things, and we don't want to talk about it. Yeah. And a lot of times that's why the enemy wants us to be quiet and not talk about it, because there's healing and there's freedom and vulnerability. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a blessing. Yeah. That's a blessing. So let's get on to your nonprofit because, you know, all the things that you might have went through, it caused you to, for one, you're a mother of twins, and you have these beautiful babies. I commend any mother that has twins, because listen, I got one 10-year-old, and I'm like, woo, child, it's a lot. We were talking about it off camera, but for one, tell me about your children. Tell me about your daughter, Adiyah, correct? And you are the founder of Adiyah's Heart Foundation.org. I'll be sure to put all that information in the podcast description, but tell me about your daughter. Tell me about this rare heart disease. And I definitely want to know, I'm assuming that's why you started the foundation. So tell me about that.
So to give the context, that situation affected a lot of my relationships afterwards. And it affected my relationship with the twins' father.
Yeah.
I did not like being touched. I would wake up out of my sleep. I didn't feel safe. It was just a lot of decisions that I made based off that. Something I thought I was healed from and kind of was letting go was still very prevalent. So I say that to give context into, it's very easy for single moms to take a victim role and just like, this was done to me. You made me a single mom. I made myself a single mom.
By
I
choice.
made myself a single mom by choice.
Yeah.
Not being ready to know what love was and be loved.
Yeah.
And that made my situation a lot harder. Let's fast forward. Some shrimp came out of it.
Look at me now.
Throughout my relationship with the twins' dad, we did have, of course, the twins. My son was perfectly fine. My daughter, she had low birth rate throughout my pregnancy. Of course, because I had twins, it was high-risk pregnancy. I didn't have illnesses or history of illnesses in my family, but I was very swollen. Like, I was huge.
Really? How much weight did you gain?
A lot. Like, a lot.
Listen, I was huge.
I was big. Like the blueberry off Willy Wonka. Like, I was big.
My goodness. Well, you were carrying twins in your defense, because that, man, I commend any woman that carries twins.
I remember my doctors, they will always just think like, okay, she has preeclampsia, you have high blood pressure, and I'll get there and they'll be like, you're perfectly healthy. I don't understand. Like, my body looked crazy. But my son was fine. My daughter had low birth rate. We just chopped it up to like, oh, you're a greedy little monster in there. You're eating up all the food.
You thought your son was doing that. Yeah.
Okay. My daughter, because of the low birth rate, it affected her heart. So they were monitoring that. Then one day in the hospital, it became a little more serious. I was told that it could happen, but I was on the positive side of things, just like, hey, we're just putting this information out there and watching the heart, but everything looks great.
Looks good, but just in case, so you can be able to know.
So when I went to that doctor's appointment, I didn't expect, oh no, you're going to the hospital today. Like, and so I was rushed to the hospital. They had to watch her. I was cleared to come home. We were just going to continue to watch, and that day they did start to set a date for me to be induced. But that was against what I wanted. Like, I wanted to go full term. I wanted to have a natural birth. I actually originally was going to like the birthing center. And it's funny because the owner has twins.
You're like, perfect.
Yeah. But she wasn't, her program wasn't ready to deliver twins yet.
Okay.
So they were thinking about it. I was like, come on. you got it. I'll be your
person.
first. Yeah, she was like, okay, we're gonna work it through. She like went through logistics. She was like, yeah, no. So I end up
at the hospital.
But I did end up finding another program, which was great. I had a doula, midwife, and everything. But then I had my baby shower that next day. I had to go to a doctor's appointment. Doctor's appointment sent me straight to the hospital.
What was the reason? Because of your daughter?
Her daughter, her heart. She was putting forth too much energy to breathe, and they were saying that she wouldn't make it through delivery. And they were weighing it. They was just like, you could stay. They were thinking about letting my son stay inside and just taking her out. Like, they were thinking about all these different options. Yeah, they were thinking about all these different options. And then it came down to, basically my request. Like, I want to do as much as I can to have a natural birth.
Yeah.
So I was just denying it, all that. No. And then when it came down to, I was 32 weeks, and they was like, okay, we're afraid that if we don't get her out now, things can start to get worse. Things aren't extremely bad, but it can go.
We don't want it to progress.
Either way. Yeah, it can either she can get better and it's all good, or it can get detrimental. So that's the decision that that it got to, and then I ended up having an emergency C-section, and my daughter, she came out. All I know is that she was rushed straight to the NICU. My son, he was able to be delivered, and then I held him, was able to experience being with him. But I had my twins in the middle of COVID, so I had to choose between their dad and my mom in the room, and I chose my mom, and that was another big factor that weighed into a lot of decisions that happened afterwards. But inside the NICU, she was actually fine. My son had a heart murmur. She had a leaking heart valve. Now, medically, if you have any heart complications during birth, you are supposed to be screened and watched if you get any other bacteria infections or anything while you're in the hospital. That's standard protocol for babies or anyone delivered with.
I would expect.
Right.
Yeah.
So my daughter went up and down health-wise with her weight, eating, and I charged it up to neglect because it was way too many times where I had to walk in the hospital and say, that doesn't look right. That's not okay. Why is she dirty? Why is there poop here? She wasn't properly cleaned. Why this? Why that? Don't do this. Don't do that.
It's so important to advocate not only for your child, but for yourself, especially a lot of women in color when we go through birth.
Oh, it was horrible. I am so glad that the hospital is shut down. It was my birthing hospital, but I'm glad.
And this was in Georgia.
This is in Georgia. Because I was extremely blessed to have the support system to be able to be by my child.
Yeah.
And I was there night and day. The only time I wasn't in that NICU was during shift, that 1 hour of shift change. Other than that, I sat in the weight room, and as soon as I was able to get back in there, I was back in there, because the level of neglect, the level of red tape of like, oh, this is what we have to do, I did it, right? Like check a box type thing versus actual care.
Yeah. The
amount of children I saw, like I literally was holding my child and the baby next to me was choking and spitting out their milk.
And there was no one there.
But the alarm didn't alert. So their heart rate didn't drop low enough for it to concern them to come see about this child. So this baby is sitting here choking and spitting up milk. But because, the heart rate didn't drop, he's not dying or anything, y'all just sitting there drinking your coffee and talking.
And not checking on these children.
Right. So I was like, oh no, I'm not leaving.
Yeah, I gotta make sure.
So, and it was, again, several times where I'm just like, so my daughter, I walked in, she's 2 pounds, right? And her stomach is bigger than her and it's black. Oh, and they're just like, oh, she's just bloated. And I'm just like, that ain't bloated. Yeah. Do you see this? Are you seeing what I'm seeing? And then stressing it enough, they checked her and they gave her suppository, came back a couple hours later, her stomach was like flat. And I was like, but that was normal. A big it could have popped. It could have popped. And that's what made me pay more attention. So I was like, every blood test y'all do, I don't care if y'all come swab the back of her ear, I need it written down, because that's what they're supposed to do anyway. Every time they touch your child, they're supposed to notate it. It's just, 1, do you know that? And then 2, are they doing it and giving you the paperwork?
Do you care enough? That's the problem with the world today. A lot of people just don't care enough.
They just think, they it's a small minor detail to them. So that baby having that cough up didn't hurt them long term. So that's mediocre. No, that's not mediocre.
Yeah, especially when it comes to someone's child.
Right, because what if when that child spit up, something went back down the wrong way, and then now it's some stuck in their ear or something. I don't know.
And these are children that are already in the NICU.
Yes. So, and that's what happened to my child, because you guys thought small minor details were not that big of a deal. My daughter caught a bacteria infection because of the lack of cleanliness of the hospital. Wow. You didn't check her heart and watch her heart, knowing that she had a leaking heart valve, and that was the whole reason why I was induced and or had my emergency C-section. And the reason why she's 2 pounds. Although that was a big reason of why they were delivered, you didn't pay attention to it. You took her off antibiotics and then monitor it, and that bacteria infection traveled to her heart, and it was sitting there eating up her heart. So when my child was supposed to come home and was finally took off the last few of her medications and was supposed to be finally hitting her birth weight to come home, oh no, we have to immediately take her to the heart hospital, like she's having heart complications.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm just like, heart complicated, like when
she finally came home, she was having heart complications.
She didn't make it home. She was supposed to. So my son was coming home. At that hospital, they had reached 3 pounds before they allowed him to come home. My son was able to come home. He came home that week earlier. I was told by the end of the week she'll be coming home. Let's get her weight up. Throughout this time, I was told that I wasn't gonna be able to breastfeed them because of my milk hadn't come in. Honey, I was in that pump. I was pumping whatever.
Listen, I was breastfeeding my kids. Okay?
I was like, the lady told me, she was like, you just need to go ahead and sign off on the nurse told me this. You just need or the head nurse at the time too. You just need to sign the paperwork. You're not going to be able to make enough milk for them.
I said, oh, okay. I'll show you. Yeah.
I said, okay.
Man says one thing, God says another.
Right. I'm like, you're not giving I was like, first of all, there's blood in this milk. And I don't know who it's coming from. We screened it. I don't give up. I don't care.
Yeah. Did you screen it though? If they're already doing all these other things.
That's very crazy.
Did you screen it?
So sorry. So they were pressing for me to do the milk. I did end up giving in on the fortifier, which is what ended up causing. And there's a huge
What's
lawsuit.
A fortifier?
It's like an enhancer of vitamins they add to your child's milk.
Okay.
Right. So I did do that versus the donor milk, and this again was all an attempt to help her get to that weight to be allowed to come home because she had to be 3 pounds, which was BS. Because even when she went to the heart doctor, they were like, she don't have to be any kind of weight. Once she's stable, she can go home. So she still never hit 3 pounds before she actually made it home. So they could have been gave me my child, but that's another story. There's a really big global nationwide lawsuit going on right now. I don't know if you know about it, about babies that were given breast milk, fortifiers, and donor milk in the hospital. There's a lawsuit going on, so we are a part of that lawsuit. That's
really
going
on a national level.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Are they trying to correlate that to heart?
Not just specifically heart, but just complications in general, like that Similac and that fortifiers, emulsifiers, all that stuff cause several different problems in several different children in different ways. And in my situation, that's affecting her heart. So I did say yes to the fortifier. That ended up causing that bacteria infection, led to the heart. Rushed to the heart hospital. There, I'm thinking we're about to learn what's going on. They were like, no ma'am, you need to make a decision right now today. We're doing heart surgery, or you might not walk out of here with your child. So
for the leaking valve,
for the infection. So it started as a leaking heart valve, and it developed into endocarditis. So endocarditis is basically a cluster of bacteria that gets together in one area and eats away. So your heart valve pumps. Yeah, it pumps your blood through your heart. So one of them, the flap, could have opened and closed. It already could have opened and closed properly because it was just her body. She was born early. It wasn't properly developed. But then that cluster, that endocarditis, that bacteria got on it and was eaten away from it.
Oh my goodness.
Now, typically what happens in this situation is you would get a valve replacement. My daughter was 2 pounds. She was way too little. And then she was too little and too young. So it was an experimental surgery.
So you, as a new mother of twins, had to decide, am I going to get this experimental surgery on my
child? I had to make that decision right then and there. I'm like, okay, thank you. I'm telling doctor, okay, I'm gonna call. They was like, no, ma'am, I'm here right now because
she's not gonna make it.
I need your decision right now because she has to get prepped right now.
So in that situation, did you just start praying?
In that situation, I was digesting. So I'm like, at this point, I'm have tears, but I'm like, big girl pants. What's going on?
Yeah, I got these kids.
What do I have to do? What's next? Write down, document everything that comes out your mouth. I don't even understand the words that you're saying. Like, I can't spell none of this, but I'm finna sign it out.
Yeah,
you know?
And let me Google it.
Yes.
Let me see what Google says.
Yes. And man. I called their father, and again, we weren't really on speaking terms at this time. He was going through his mess. And he was just sometimes. Like, well, you gotta do what you gotta do. And I'm just like,
you gotta do what you gotta do, yeah. Or we need to do what we...
Me. Wow. Like, well, she in the hospital. If they saying she gonna die, you know what you gotta do.
Right.
Thanks.
Let me go to God.
Yeah.
Let me go to God first, then,
because... after that, all I know is she was put on the stretcher, and I walked her back to some double doors. And as soon as she walked through those double doors, I fainted. I fell out on the floor. And I was just breaking down, crying and praying.
Oh my goodness!
Like, I literally walked my child to some double doors and had to give her to someone
to have a heart surgery
and pray that she was gonna come back. That was the worst experience of my life.
I couldn't imagine.
Like, everything came out of my body. Like, I couldn't stand. I just told him, just give me a minute. Yeah. Like, because
at this time she's what, 3 weeks?
She was 2 months
at that time.
At that time, yep, she was 2 months.
And they had never did this particular surgery. Mm-mm. It was an experiment.
It at that age, like, her what made it her experiment was like her conditions, her weight, her what.
They've never done it on someone that young, that Mm-mm. weight. Oh wow! And
I believe it was just that hospital. I'm gonna assume. I would hope. I don't. It was. Who knows?
Wow.
But she made it through it. She did a phenomenal job. I was told that at about the age of 12, she's going to need the real surgery, an actual heart valve replacement, because all they did was go in and scrape the bacteria off.
Okay.
It was just like, we're stopping it from eating the valve. Now we just need to get the valve to work. And if we can stabilize her until she's old enough to actually get the surgery, we can do the actual surgery.
And how is she doing now?
She's doing phenomenal. Yay. So she was said to have that surgery at 12. Her first birthday, she was released from her heart monitor and 7 different medications.
Amen.
And her heart doctor was just like, hey, if we didn't have to read her chart before, dealing with her, we would not have assumed that she went through any of this.
That's God.
Yes.
That's God.
Yes. And they call her a little warrior while she was there. It's like, she had these strong lungs. She's 2 pounds, all these tubes in her. And you can hear her screaming and crying across the hospital. They was like, they told me, it was like, girls come out strong, but this one?
It's crazy though that you said that. Like, they said if they would not have looked at her chart, that they would have never known that she experienced that, right? Mm-hmm. Isn't it beautiful how God could take us from situations and we don't look like what we've been through?
Woo!
Come on, somebody. It made me think of you.
Yeah.
Wow.
It gives me, or it solidifies that everything is a season and a reason. Yes. That was a season that I had to go through.
Yes.
And there's a reason behind it.
Yeah.
And the reason and what he had been prepping me through all that time is giving me a purpose. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 12 years old, and I dib and dab. Once I master something, I'm done.
Let me do something.
Right. So it's just like, what is... I tried that. It's horrible. But I will still... I karaoke queen.
We'll have to go one day.
So it gave me my purpose.
Yeah.
It took every experience, every business that I've ever worked with, every client I've ever had, summed up into one thing.
Wow.
Adiyah's Heart Foundation.
Adiyah's Heart Foundation.
So her name is Hebrew.
And it means
Jewel of God.
Yes, I read
Yes,
that. I'm
yep.
like, goodness. I was like, she was very mindful. when
Yeah.
she named it.
Oh, we sat down by the Bible. Me and my mom, we was like,
Let me see. Listen.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, we're just like, which one? What are we going? I knew that I loved
Adiyah.
Adiyah. Like that was period. Like I love that name.
Jewel
Adiyah.
of God. What a beautiful name.
And I had to find something to match it. And then I was like, I like that. You
I
know?
like that. That flows.
And then to tie it all together, to cope, so that little 1 hour of time where I couldn't actually be in the NICU, I was making jewelry.
Yes. Is that some of your bracelets that you have on now?
These are her bracelets. And it was simply to keep me sane. It was just like, I can't break down right now.
No,
Like,
because an idle mind, if
gotta
you
get
have
through
an
this.
idle mind,
Woo!
and that's why I think a lot of times people do struggle or they are suffering because their mind is idle. You got to
stay
get in
busy.
your word, go running, go to the gym, get up out of it,
Yeah.
pick yourself up. And a lot of times when people go through depression or anxiety, they stray away from people and they sit in it, they sleep in it. You got to literally force yourself.
Oh, I went through all my ugly in front of a lot of people.
Yeah.
Okay. So that I was working as well out of the lobby. So I had my headphones on, a table full of food and
Baby,
snacks.
because I'm going to be
kicked
here
up,
with my
just-
baby.
Yes, because I'm not
I
going
feel
anywhere.
yeah.
But doctors, nurses, families, people start to buy the jewelry.
Awesome.
And it ended up helping me generate enough money to cover her medical bills. So we had like a $40K bill. We reached the house. I was like, who paid for that?
The jewelry that you made was able to.
Yes, help me pay off whatever like insurances and stuff. I had the money. I don't know where it came from, how, what, who, what it, but it did it.
God.
And I could do
But
nothing but
God.
say thank you. Thank you.
God, my
That, and
goodness.
that's another gem that was just like, oh, you did this on purpose.
Yeah.
So don't soak in this.
Yeah.
Learn from this.
Yeah.
Because
What could
there's
you
no
learn
way
here?
you put me through all this and then took me out of it.
Yeah.
You know, just
For no
like
reason.
that. Yeah, it's not. It
But
was
look
a
at the
reason.
character that you have now. You know, look how like I'm inspired by you. I'm so inspired. I know I'm like 10 years your senior, but I'm still a young girl at heart. But I'm just inspired that you could sit here on this platform, tell your story, help someone that's going to listen to this and not let it break you.
Yeah,
A lot of people are broken.
Yeah.
And they put, like I said earlier, they put Band-Aids on bullet wounds and they don't even want to deal with, being shot.
Right.
A lot of times they're suppressing the hurt because, like I always say, healing does hurt. But in order to get to healing, you're going to have to go through the hurt.
You gotta go. You gotta take it on.
Yeah,
You
even
gotta
if you
take
gotta
it on.
crawl through it, stop trying to suppress it. Bring it to the surface so God could like help you through it. If you're denying your hurt, there's no way that you're gonna heal. But
It's
I'm
like-
inspired by you.
Business wise, I've always led and was motivated by the saying, fall in love with your failures. That's how I got through school. That's
Fall
just
in love
like,
with your failures.
fall in love with your failures. Fall in love with your failures. Fall in love with your failures because those are your greatest lessons. On an emotional side of that, on an emotional side of that, mental side of that, you have to truly embrace everything that you go through.
Yeah.
Because it either can break you or it can bend you.
Yeah.
And it can fold you.
It can break you or it can build you.
Yeah.
Decide.
Right?
You have to decide that.
Yeah, most definitely. So with that, with all the experiences that I had, because I did start a nonprofit after the assault situation. It was called the Pregame to College, where
Do you still have that foundation?
it is on hold right now. It's just
Okay, because I think
I'm
you
one
need to
person.
start- I think you need to start that back up.
Yeah, I actually am.
That sounds.
It's definitely in the works. I'm trying to get into the school system through Adiyah's Heart Foundation, and once I solidify that and have the contacts, I am going to bring that program back. I want to bring it back under my son.
So they both can have their own foundation.
Yeah,
I love that for you. You're
because
not a
from
regular
that-
mom, y'all. She's a cool mom, okay?
Because from that, I my whole family are entrepreneurs, so this is like my life. It's just that's all I know how to do.
love
I
that.
actually would sit in the car as a kid, and I would just think of stuff, just like, Mom, does this exist? Someone should make this. What if
What
this
can I
did
do?
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, should do this. Like, if I'm the one of those people that like, if I am the creative, you put me with the pocketbook, the wallet.
I could listen.
we'll
I'm
take
waiting
over
on
the
the
world.
pocketbook. Okay?
Yes, that's all I
I'm waiting
need.
on the pocketbook. That
That's-
pregame to college, though, I don't want you to breeze over that. If God put that in your heart, I'm a firm believer that nothing just randomly pops in our heart for no reason. So
Yeah, it's definitely
you can help a lot
gonna
of
come
people.
back. I think at the period of time when I was doing it, it was needed. But my sisters were coming out of high school, so we would do these link ups. And it was like, get your degree in MSMG, money, sex, mentality, and graduating. So it was just all that, just college in one. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you don't do drugs and alcohol. I'm going to tell you, do what you want to do, but do it safely.
Yeah.
So, like, I started writing a book. It's called How to Get High.
Because I am.
Like,
I'm going to say don't drink or smoke, y'all.
But my thing
be
is,
high on the Lord.
Yes. No. Yes.
Because that is a high.
100%.
Yeah.
But my whole thing is that message is not the mass message right now.
Yeah.
So my thing is you're going to try it. I'm not going to promote it.
Yeah.
But if you're going to try it, know what you're doing. Because there's people out here that want to try smoking and then they're going to buy grass. Or they're getting something late. Or their first
they get
time.
fentanyl or whatever.
Yes,
else.
I've had people who first time smoking has messed them up for the rest of their
mentally.
life.
I know a lot of people. That's why I always say, like, find a natural high, you know, because I used to drink very heavily. Like I always say on my episodes, I used to love me some whiskey. Okay, but now that I'm present, I'm like, what a high it is to just be present. But I've tried it. I've tried it.
My aunt said something that stuck with me because, you know, I got to a point where it's just like I'm weaning off. Stop drinking.
Yeah,
it wasn't the monetary part of me. I just one time I think I stopped for a job and then I was just like calculating. I was like, wow, this money comes from. And I was like, this is the money I used to spend. Oh no, I'm not doing that no more.
I'm good on that.
Right? I like this money. And then but everyone's social. I used to social smoke. Yeah. So in me doing too, so we were smoking one time and I like my aunts, cousins, some of my cousins would do it around their parents and stuff. And it was just mutual, whatever. Me and my dad, no, I'm not doing that. I don't care if he knows that I smoke. He ain't gonna never know that I smoke, right? So
it's my secret,
right? Like you ain't gonna see it. You can't prove it, because that's kind of how my parents operated. They're just like, go have fun, but when it reaches my doorstep, you're doing too much. Yeah. So it was just like, nobody can prove it. You can say what you want to say, but you can't prove it.
I'm a seasonal smoker.
And then my aunt came outside. She called us. And then I'm hiding. Everybody else just like, she right. And they're like, she even see me doing. And then she was just like, and then she called us and I told her, I was just like, I just been stressed, auntie, you know. So she was just like, so you making that your God? Because when you stress, you supposed to go to the Most High. And I was like, ooh.
Baby, auntie just get, the way she snatched y'all up. The way she snatched y'all up respectfully.
Yeah, she's like, you looking for relief?
Not one lie was told. Yeah.
And when she said that sticks with me every time. So it's just like now I do have moments where I'm just like so stressed out. Them kids.
Girl, don't get me started. Listen. Girl.
And I'm like, I just need a blunt. And I'm just like,
I just need a black. I need a shot of Jack. But then I'm like, let me pick up my word.
Bible.
Yeah. Because God is the drug. God is the high.
He is your high.
You got to choose what your high is going to be. What's your drug of choice? Is it going to be the divine or is it going to be something that
when
will
she
destroy
told me that,
you?
she was like, oh, so that's your God? I was like,
oh, we're going to have Auntie on because she seemed like she be preaching. I was
like, oh,
shout out to Auntie.
She did it for me. But yes, I definitely am going to bring the pregame to college back. It had a whole clothing brand that
could be in a lot of there's something when you mentioned that I look forward to seeing
the whole thing. And it was like having people take a pledge. I pledged to put my people on game, #free game. So it's just like another part of why we're here today, giving people that empowerment and helping people understand that there's so much strength in your vulnerability.
There we go. Now listen,
it's a couple words. That's
how I feel when I spell Wednesday. I'm like, is it Wednesday?
I still have problems with contribution and
listen.
Those
y'all
words.
Get the message.
You get it. But yeah, there's a lot of strength and power in being vulnerable. And pregame to college helped me be prepared to not hide. Like it didn't take me long to start Adiyah's Heart Foundation. Is once my baby got home, I was just like, oh, we went through this.
Going to work.
And now that I know that this is a thing, and I watch people these babies getting neglected in the hospital, and I never even knew about CHD, congenital heart disease and heart defects, and that it's just as prevalent as autism. And I'm just like,
you educated me a lot on that.
That's not what they tell you when you go to your checkup. They don't tell you to watch for the heart because this can happen, and it's just 1 out of 14 children have CHD. That's 40,000 children a year. And
they're not talking. I've never heard of it until you told me. I was like, oh, we gotta have her on.
Just imagine how many people this catching off guard.
Yeah.
And
like it did you.
Yes, completely off guard. And then my whole thing is I was raised on entrepreneurship and I hustled and I knew how to keep my strength because of the things that I've been through. But what happens to that mom that's younger than me, that doesn't have that support system, that doesn't have anybody to fall back on, doesn't know to go to the hospital because the NICU,
or doesn't advocate for herself,
or the parent that didn't have the ability to get off work longer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What happens to that person? So I was like, no. I can't let this continue to happen in my community.
Yeah.
I want people to know that this happens. I want people to
be
prepared if it happens to you. And that is the energy that I put into Adiyah's Heart Foundation. It was like, baby girl, you're a jewel of God, and through your jewelry, we're going to spread awareness, and we're going to help, and we're going to support moms, because we already have too much on our back. Being a single mom or in a relationship, motherhood is hard.
Very hard.
Motherhood is
very hard. Yeah.
And I absolutely love the fathers that are taking care of their children.
Yeah. And taking care of the mothers.
Yeah. Well,
and mothers that are taking care of the fathers too, because we need each other.
And then in those dads, there's a lot of people in my life right now that are dads, and they're single dads.
Yeah.
And they are getting a dose of what motherhood, because it can't be explained. And that's the hard part about it. It's just like, I can sit here and cry tears. You can watch my day routine all day, and you still aren't going to
understand it. Yeah.
Right. But those dads that are single dads, they now have a greater responsibility to be vulnerable and to speak up and tell their truth. Yeah. Because it's not going to do anything but help more men understand. Yeah. And more men.
Because there's a lot of single dads too. And being a single parent, like we were talking off camera, a lot of people only talk about parenting like, oh, gumdrops and berries, I want to be a parent. Listen, the sleep, I'm running on a couple hours of sleep right now. Okay. Like it's so hard between work, parenting, trying to put light out into the world. It's like, wow. Yeah. If I stop and think about all the things that I do, I might lose my marbles. I just do. Yeah. And you have twins.
Right.
So God bless you.
Ooh, it's life.
It is. So what else are you working on right now? What other projects do you have coming up? Where can the people find you?
Yeah.
And of course, I'll put all her information in the podcast description, because this was such a blessed conversation. And I want to have you back on to talk about the pregame to college too. But what are you working on? What should the people look for?
So right now, I am in school through One Day with Wolf University. If you
getting her master's
program, getting her master's. Yes, definitely look into it. And it is focusing on nonprofits, right? So throughout that process, I'm learning, how to help build my nonprofits. I've had for-profit businesses, great, whatever, but nonprofit is completely new to me. So with that, a part of one of my assignments that we're doing a big campaign right now, where it is called Hugs Protect the Heart, because the little things that you can do, like we can't conquer the world tomorrow, right? And it's all about, my mission is spreading awareness, right? So a hug, just one simple hug, can help lower your heart rate.
Yes, and you hugged me when I first met you. Give us a little hug. We did not hug.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
Hugs, a nice good squeeze.
Lowers your heart?
Yeah, lower your heart rate. So that simple little thing is I want to make big. Excuse me. I want to make big. So I have the Hugs Protect the Heart campaign going on right now.
Okay.
Where
people all the time.
This girl's that's how we ask. Just give hugs. I actually thought about it because I was a part of a program where or a social group where they had t-shirts and it just said hug me, and it was just spread love amongst our community.
That's what we need.
So I was like, you know what, we need some love in our community. I need to spread awareness, and I need y'all to know about CHD and this heart.
So no one goes through what I went through.
So I combine all of that. So Hugs Protect the Heart is going on right now all the way until June. So my daughter came home June 6th. So June 6th this next year is going to fall on a Friday. I decided to do the 8th instead of the day she actually came home, because it's Sunday. Just think it'll be better for the community. But that's going to be our first annual Heart Festival. So I am super excited.
Please I would love to be there.
Yes, ma'am. So I'm planning on doing having a photo shoot for Heart Warriors so they can come and show their scars, because your scars are beautiful. Yeah. So come and show your scars. I'm having a lot of people come out and speak about the hospitals, what's going on in the hospitals. I was able to attend a heart conference recently, and they basically just broke down like what's going on at Emory and what's going on at CHOA, the new facility that they have, and just it was just amazing, and it wasn't like an overwhelming experience, right? So talked to some people there, got some people to agree to come out. So it's gonna be educational, it's gonna be fun, it's gonna be inspirational, and it's gonna be a party because I love to have a party.
Yes, we love to have a good time.
Love to have a great time.
Inspirational good time.
Yes. So it's for the children, for the adults, for the whole community. From then to now, we're just asking for you to give hugs and hashtags
and donate.
Yes, hashtag Hugs Protect the Heart. You can donate via adiyahsheart.org.
Yes,
you'll find our link via donor box. When you donate, you'll receive a t-shirt and a button. You'll receive a Hugs Protect the Heart t-shirt and a nice little button, snazzy button.
Yes, please support
so that you can
Adiyah
continue
Foundation.
to spread that. Yes. And to help you better understand the foundation and where your donations go. So the foundation is completely donation driven. And the forefront of the brand or the foundation is our Entrepreneurs with Heart program. So because Making Jury helped me generate revenue, I'm helping other families turn their hobbies into businesses to help cover their medical bills.
Wow. Just like you did.
Yep. So your donations help us fund them with business advice, LLCs, corporations, things of that sort. And then also, alternatively, a $25 donation helps one heart family with a neurodevelopmental box. And what we give them are border books, because a lot of children with heart defects and heart disease, or children that's in the hospital in a NICU for an extended period of time altogether, have developmental delays. So we give them some border books and developmental
What are border
toys.
books?
The old-fashioned books that were made out of like paper books, the hard paper books. Those were originally called border books. Back in education, just taking it back a little.
Educate us.
Yeah, so they get those it's mostly those books that give you that foundation.
Okay,
you that like ABCs 1, 2, 3s, those books. But they help with sensory as well. Different things in there. Then we give them some sensory toys, some neurodevelopmental toys to help develop their mind. We also give them an entrepreneurship guide to help them start a business. And then they also have access to our social hotline where moms, you can call me anytime, day. You got a question about, what do I do? She's going to the heart doctor. She has to get an EKG. What is this? All of that. They can call or text us and ask us for help. So all your donations help us do those things. We also have different programs. So we have our equestrian therapy program. I love horses. They are my spirit animal.
I want to tap into that too. I might sign myself up.
Yeah. Fun fact, if you're within 4 feet of a horse, they can sense when something's wrong with you, and they naturally help you feel better. That's just
Girl, let me sign me up.
Yes, and it's so crazy because I knew I always felt better around horses.
Yeah.
Like when I was pregnant, my mom, right after I had the twins, the first thing my mom did was book me a session to go horseback riding. And I'm just thinking this because just is what I love to do. My mom knew.
She's very knowledgeable. Yes. That woman there is spiritually knowledgeable. I can feel it.
So we have started that program and our programs aren't just for students with heart defects. It's open to the community. Okay. But the donations help serve those families. So again, they're already battling financial difficulty because of the surgeries and the medical things. Yeah. So your donations help us put those children in those programs. I'm a water baby. I love water.
Me too.
I was a swim instructor, and director of a swim school for 3 years. Decided to I was actually let go from that position due to budget cuts. So I started Heartwave Academy. So we have a swim academy for children with heart defects and heart disease. Catered to. What don't you do? Okay. Let's see. I don't know. That's a good one. That's a good one.
I do this. I love that.
Fencing. Haven't done yet.
Okay, but
I got surfing done. I tried surfing this year. It was great, but I'm going to try fencing too. So yeah, we have that program. We also have our Heart Harmony fruit juices. We were talking about the juicing.
Yeah, the juicing. Yeah.
Every service and program within the Adiyah's Heart Foundation was created to help me through my journey of motherhood, because one thing about business is you have to talk to people.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time talking to mothers, like, hey, what did you do?
Yeah.
Like
what helped you?
The cold and flu, right? Yeah. Give me all the goodness. And I take that in, like with my children, I didn't give them store-bought juice. My son does not like fruit and vegetables. My daughter, that's all she will eat. She can literally eat fruit all day and be great. My son, no.
Not so much.
And he's a texture person. So I got his celery, his spinach, his kale in through juicing. Then I started researching recipes for the heart. So we
natural medicine.
Yeah,
natural
most definitely.
Medicine.
So and then also when I looked out into who I wanted to be as a woman, And I want to make my own herbs. I want to get away from modern medicine as much as possible. I want to be able to lean on my own understanding in my world and the earth that we were given. So I had to figure out the time and space to put that in my life, right? So I found a way to make everything that I love doing center around my children already. So I'm making advances in becoming successful in life, but my children are right here on my hip. Yes, I don't have to feel guilty. I don't have to feel guilty about, because I hated going to swim schools, or like I nannied for a babysit or do something, and I spend all this time with other people's children, and then I get home to mine and I'm tired. No, leave me alone.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah. You got to get your freedom back.
Yeah. So I had to make everything work together. So I juice because I love to juice it, and I do it for my kids, and they help me. The jury, Adiyah picks out the charms as I'm putting the beats together. The swimming caddy, they love water. Oh my gosh, my children love water. They're always, I want to go to the beach. I'm like, girl, it's winter.
Listen, it ain't no beach in Georgia.
She's like, I want to go. Right. And it's so funny because they will put their swimsuits on and get in the bathtub. I'm just like, you know what? Go for it.
Whatever, yeah.
Go for it.
Imagine. No, I love all the things that you're doing. Like, that is just all the things that God put in you. I love that you're having the courage to put them out, because some people don't. There's some people that get to the end of life like, well, I wanted to be this, or I could have been that. It's like, well, why didn't you do it?
I think that's the biggest thing that scared my parents. Like, my mom told me one time, she was just like, I raised you to dream big, think outside of the box. Like, think outside of the box was a big part of, like, stuck in the back of my head as a child. Like, my science projects at school, we had to do 3D boards, like standard projects. And I was like, no. You got to figure out how to stand out. Yeah. So I had 3D boxes and stuff. Excuse me. 3D boxes and stuff coming out of my science projects and everything. So that's always been go over and beyond.
Yeah.
And everything that you do. And it's funny because my stepdad and the twins' dad, when we found out that I was having twins, both of their responses like, you can't just never be normal.
Nope.
You can't do nothing little. You just can't do nothing little. And it's like, hey,
no, this is what
I'm not ordained to be a little. Like,
yeah, don't make yourself small.
Yeah, and that's something that keeps me going. We are flesh, right? And our journeys, what's mapped out and for us to be is bigger than us. We don't have control of it. So that gives me the freedom to live life, right? A lot of people, I get it all the time, just like they don't understand how single mom, a mom of twins with a business and foundation, still looks sane. You know, how are you doing it? Yeah. And it's just like, I don't know.
Faith, God.
Faith. Yes, the Most High is leading. I literally wake up and each step is because He told me a step.
The hedge of protection.
Yeah.
The hedge of protection.
Most definitely. I walk by where I am led.
Yeah. That's it. That's the only way to live.
And I live, you can't.
Only way to live.
Can't get in the way with it. You gotta allow yourself to experience. So that goes into fall in love with your failures and stuff too. Like, everything don't have to make sense.
Yeah. And everything don't gotta be perfect.
Yep. Sometimes you just gotta do it. That's do it.
You are the example. Nike, y'all need to sponsor her, because this girl has been just doing it since I met her.
And then what does my shirt say? It says, "Don't quit, do it."
Do it. No, seriously, Nike, make sure y'all contact her, because
this is a shirt that you can purchase for a donation. So basically, if you donate $25, you get to choose whatever T-shirt that you like off our site.
Yes.
Because I do printing as well. Throw that in there.
No, honestly, and even if you need advice outside of anything that we've discussed, honestly, it seems like she's the person to go to.
Yeah, you know what made me fall in love with that? Because I went through a period or a season where I was just like, I'm tired of giving everybody advice, and I got no advice for myself. I saw someone say, your advice isn't for you. Your purpose, your gift is for the world. Yeah. Not for you.
It's not for you. It's never for you.
It's never for you. And somebody else got a gift for you.
Exactly. Right? That you need to open up.
Right. And that's what also got me back. That's what brings me back home or back to church. Yeah. My mom told me, she was just like, understand you're reading your Bible. Understand that you're trying to stay focused. You're trying to keep a relationship. But the Bible said to congregate and to be around your like-minded people.
The key word is like-minded. You know, we've all kind of lived a life. Well, at least I can speak for myself, where I've been around people that weren't like-minded. Yeah. Be around like-minded people, because all these ideas that you have, inspiring. You're going to get around somebody and they're like, you know what? Dang, she lit a flame in me. I forgot God put that in my heart. Because of Jushawn, let me go ahead and start that business. Can I get some advice from you to start my? Yeah, do it.
Please do it.
Do it.
And it's very true, because throughout the time, like even through the pregame with college, and I hated it growing up, but I always was that person. Like, whenever my cousins or somebody was getting in trouble, or like my friends, my mom's friends' children would get in trouble. Just Jushawn, go talk to this person. I was like, I'm not the wrong one.
Yeah, no, listen.
I'm doing the same thing she doing. She just got caught.
Listen, she wasn't smart enough. Let me at least teach her how to be smart and not get caught. Goodness.
So with that, it's a lot of people that come back to me and they're just like starting businesses. And they're just like, hey, I just want your advice on this. Or they'll just call me and say, I just started a program. I have someone that's so dear to me. She started off kind of like a big sister, little sister relationship. And she was in some of my programs and everything. And then she became my secretary and assistant and secretary. Literally my backbone of my business. Like, oh my gosh,
thank God.
I love her.
Thank God for her.
And she's like went to North Carolina. She started her own family and everything, and she's going through the motion. She's going through life, and she's just
life
is lifing on her. And she's like, she called me and she was just like, I'm going through it, but I'm starting a Bible. It's not a Bible study. I mean, I say that. She told me don't say that. It's not a Bible study group, but it's an empowerment group. And it's a nonprofit just for women. And she's like, I didn't think I could do it, but I watch you every day with twins do it. So I'm doing it. Yeah. I just wanted to call and let you know that I was doing it.
You're an inspiration. And that's why it's so important
really
in this generation we live in, where people only influence, like, oh, look like me, dress like me, get the same hair, get the same nails, buy this. You're inspiring people to become what God has called them to be. Mm-hmm. That's the gift.
To listen to yourself, to not be limited by your flesh.
Yeah.
That's it.
And to be present fully and live in your spirit.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So as we close out, I always ask each guest this. So I'm going to start the statement and you'll finish it. Okay. So the first one is, I am
phenomenal.
I can
achieve.
I will
be great.
God is
everything.
And love is.
Ooh. Powerful.
Amen. Thank you so much. You have been a blessing and inspiration. Thank you for being vulnerable.
Thank you for having me.
Man, I can sit here and talk to you all day, guys.
Right.
I'll be sure to put all of her information in the podcast description. Please be sure that you support Adiyah's foundation. If you are a mother experiencing something similar, she is here to help you. Yes. And I just hope everyone gets to feel your energy. Please come out to that event. I'll also put that event in the podcast description.
Follow us on social media.
What's your social media?
Adiyah's Heart. Is Adiyah's.heart, and you can keep up with the campaign, what we're doing. Definitely join us in June. It's going to be phenomenal.
Yes, and I will put the information on that, her social media handle, all the goodness. Visit her site, guys. Yes. I hope you guys are blessed on this episode, just like I was. This is episode 35, and it was good. I feel full. I feel like I went to church a little bit. I feel seen. Yes, I feel you're special.
Thank you.
You're very special. God bless you.
Thank you. Allow me to feel heard.
No. Yes. Oh, that's what we are. The big comfy couch. Stay tuned, guys. Be sure to listen, like, share, and subscribe. This is the Heart Helper Podcast. See y'all next time. Bye. Bye.